Your room is working against you. I have reviewed thousands of mixes from viewers, and while I've long suspected most of you are mixing in untreated shoeboxes, I decided to check. So I reached out to the awesome members of the SMT Discord to show me their setups, and wow, just look at this. Yeah, I am not surprised. We listen with our eyes, we see glowing boxes and fancy LEDs that cost stupid amounts of money, and we ignore the one thing that actually matters in a home studio: the room treatment. You think guitar players are dumb? Buckle up, because the average home studio owner is going for the gold in the Idiocy Olympics. I just don't get it. We spend big bucks on gear. Monitors, rack effects, guitar amps, amps, but ask the average home studio owner, hey, what's your acoustic treatment look like? And you get that classic deer in a headlights stare. It's the exact same look you get when you ask a guitar player what speakers are in his 4x12. Celestians? Except this is dumber, because yeah, the guitar player might have blown a bunch of cash on his rig, but the home studio owner, there's a damn good chance he spent double or even maybe 10 times more, and all of it on the wrong thing. Simply put, I would rather mix in a space with $2,000 in gear and $2,000 in treatment than try to mix in some ego cave stuffed with 50 grand worth of glowing nonsense and zero acoustic control. Why? Because your room is fucking lying to you. And this isn't some magical spiritual vibe bullshit. It is basic fucking physics. Yeah, I know your eyes probably glazed over the second I mentioned that word, but put down the bong and pay attention, because this actually matters. Here's the part that for some insane reason nobody ever talks about. When you're sitting at your mix position, yeah, you're hearing the sound coming out of your monitors, but you're also hearing all the reflections bouncing off every flat, reflective piece of crap in your room. And even though your speakers are pointed at you, guess what? Bass does not give a shit. Bass frequencies radiate in all directions. That means you're getting the direct sound, sure, but you're also getting the same frequencies blasting out of the back, hitting off the front wall, and then bouncing back into your ears just a tiny bit later. And that, my friend, is how you get phase cancellation. Don't believe me? That is literally how EQ works, by shifting the phase of certain frequencies with tiny timing differences. The exact same thing is happening in your room, but in this case, you're not the one in control. You're just the poor bastard suffering through it. And this hits bass the hardest because longer wavelengths mean bigger delays. And this means more destructive interference right where your mix needs clarity the most. And like a complete dumbfuck, you've chosen not to deal with it. Then you sit there wondering why your mix sounds worse than those assholes in Honda Civics with the subs cranked and their license plates buzzing like a vibrator in a tin can. Now, when I say dumb fuck, of course, I'm talking about myself, because I was totally guilty of doing exactly this in my first studio. I spent the money on the shiny, glowy toys that would impress the clients, meanwhile completely overlooking any kind of meaningful acoustic treatment. And guess what? The bass would cancel itself out exactly at my mix position, so I'd add in more and more bass to the instruments, and then the finished product would be a muddy mess. This drove me and my clients absolutely crazy.
Y'all ready for this? Okay, try not to suck.
To illustrate just how important this is, I decided to bring in the big guns. I flew to Vienna to the Lewitt studio to show you exactly what's going on, in terms even a guitar player can understand, with a guitar amp. I brought along my trusty Signal Art reamp box and a track to blast through. Yes, we set the amp up in Lewitt's world-class recording studio with pristine acoustic treatment, but that's not all. We reamped it in a staircase, a bathroom, the boss's office, and even on the rooftop. You want to hear how much the room affects what you're hearing? Watch what it does to this guitar sound. Yeah, that's pretty nuts. And it also shows why we close mic guitars. We get mostly the direct signal no matter where the amp is. The room still affects your bottom end, but not nearly as much as with a room mic. Now, let's go the other way. What if we only use the room mic, just hearing the cab at a distance? Here's what that sounds like. And that is what your ears are hearing at your mix position. The speaker plus all the reflections bouncing around in the room. Now ask yourself, is that really how you want to make mix decisions? So we've identified the problem, but what's the solution? Well, I did a very helpful video about 10 years ago about how to build your own bass traps. And clearly, based on the photos that you sent in, the message has really been getting through, which is ignore the acoustic nonsense and buy shiny expensive stuff because it's way more impressive. And that's the thing about the truth. It's unpleasant. You can beat people over the head with it and they'll still ignore you. Case in point, watch my 5150 versus rectifier video. Turns out if you turn the knobs on the different amps, you can make them sound virtually identical, meaning one amp is sufficient for the job. But according to a few of the commenters, apparently that's because of something magical I did with my Neve console and my years of experience, rather than the fact that both amps are based around the same fucking design and frequency response graphs I've showed to prove it. It's the same thing every freaking time. Belief and faith versus actual repeatable evidence. And when it comes to room acoustics, it is no different. You still get the same pathetic excuses. I don't have any space, which is absolute fucking bullshit. If you've got room for a desk and monitors, you've got room to prop up a bass trap or two in your corners. So quit fucking whining. And yet, despite the mountain of evidence all pointing to the same thing, saying, fix your fucking room acoustics, for most people, it's just the last priority. And I'm not the only one who realizes this. There might actually be a solution to the dilemma where you can buy all the really expensive shiny stuff you want and not have to drop thousands on room acoustics so you can actually hear it. Since you're obviously unwilling to spend even a dime on acoustic treatment, yet never stop bitching about why your mixes won't translate into the real world, the fine folks at Lewitt have heard your cries of agony and cooked up an interesting solution. Because they realize no matter how many times somebody yells at you to fix your room acoustics, you're just not gonna fucking do it. Introducing Space Replicator, a plugin designed to emulate a far better mixing environment than that moldy closet you're currently calling a recording studio. You know, the one where you try to desperately convince yourself that you're not wasting your time or your money? Now, I'm sure you've heard about software like this before, but usually they lock you into proprietary headphones. But thankfully, somebody at Lewitt realized you probably already dropped serious cash on some badass headphones and you would actually like to use them. And Space Replicator gives you a massive selection to pick from. Another standout feature, Space Replicator uses a binaural reading to give you an incredibly accurate stereo image. Think of it as an audio version of the eye test you get at your optometrist, but instead of letters and lenses, you're dialing the perfect stereo field for your ears. They've also captured some seriously awesome spaces. Lewitt's own flagship studio. I've worked in there numerous times and that place is just freaking unreal. They've also got Vienna's legendary Synchron stage control room, which is absolutely stellar. They even grabbed my buddy Whitesey's studio with those ridiculously expensive monitors that deserve way more metal mixes run through them. Hell, they even included a dance club and a car stereo environment. And honestly, the car stereo might just be the best place ever to finish a mix. No parallel surfaces, thin walls, and the bass doesn't bounce around and fuck up your decisions. But let's get real. Is Space Replicator any good, or is it just more software bullshit promising miracles and delivering mediocrity? You tell me. I did this mix entirely with Space Replicator. No room correction EQ, no acoustic panels, just a plug-in and an awesome set of Sennheisers. So, what'd you think? Did you like it? Can you do better? Great! Go check out the software and show the world what it can do. There's a free 2-week trial that's fully functional, and it works with a multitude of headphones, including Apple earbuds. Honestly, I'm not sure how well Apple earbuds perform for mixing, but hey, it's an option. Personally, I love the idea of being able to throw on a set of headphones and work on a mix while traveling. I've got a MacBook Air that's super light, ridiculously powerful, and thanks to Lewitt, it just became a very cool portable mixing platform. Ultimately, though, this is not about my opinion, it's about your opinion. So go check it out for yourself, or ignore me and keep trying to mix in that amazing shoebox you call a recording studio.